Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Food for Thought with UpliftED. I'm Daisy Franklin, and I'm really excited about today's segment. We have Ray Larsen with us with United Way, Heart of Florida United Way. And so this is our second segment of Food for Thought with UpliftED. And so make sure that you like, share, comment, and follow our page. And so we're going to dive right into it. So Ray, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Daisy.
You gotta love the opportunity to take advantage of virtual life, and so I'm really excited that we thought and get to know our partners better. And so we had to interview you because you've been with us since the start. So Ray, you are the VP of Collective Impact with Heart of Florida United Way. Can you tell us a little bit about your role and what you do at United Way?
Sure, be happy to. So the work that I do at United Way with just a fantastic team are the programs that we have in-house, programs that we provide ourselves in the community, as well as the investments we make with partner agencies is going forward. So let me talk a little bit about each of those. As most people are familiar, United Way partners with a number of our nonprofits in our community. We are looking for, and I know we'll talk a little bit more later on, we look at our community through the lens of Alice. And that is, you know, folks that are vulnerable and need support. We look for where there are gaps or the opportunity for us to make a difference, and who's doing the best work in those areas. And we look to invest in those nonprofits to help their work and to meet that need in our community. As I said, I also have in my area of responsibility programs that we have internally. An example of that is Mission United, for instance, which is a program that we have that works with veterans, but one particularly that I'd want to highlight is called Destination Graduation. Destination Graduation is really a result of United Way's relationship with UpliftED. It really came because we were working together a number of years ago, and we're looking to try to solve the problem of how you promote persistence, making it possible for students who've gotten themselves into a post-secondary education situation, but were in danger of having to leave it, particularly for non-academic reasons. So Destination Graduation was really at the forefront of that kind of work, and is a partnership with Seminole State College that makes it possible for us to work with students. I'll give you an example. These are students that you know, have probably graduated from high school against the odds, have gotten themselves into a post-secondary situation against the odds, and as I said, find themselves in a situation of having to leave, not because of academics, but because of life. Things happen in their lives that happen to all of us. But for instance, when my sons had those challenges, and it could be as simple as needing a new battery in your car, or having your hours cut and needing to work more hours in order to pay bills. And these are the students that come up to the professor and say, you know, I have to leave now. I'm not going to be able to come back to any class. And the professor says, why? You're doing great. And they say, well, this has happened. You know, we've had this emergency in my household, or we've had this situation happen. And those students always say, but I'm going to come back. I'm going to be back. And we know that oftentimes they never make it back, or it takes a long time to get back. And what we have found is that sometimes a modest assistance to that student, $300–400 sometimes, makes the difference between them being able to stay in school for that semester, to re-enroll the next semester, and ultimately reach their goal, you know, their academic goal going
And those
forward.
students are graduating at a higher rate, correct?
Yeah, they are, and they're persisting at a higher rate too. So they're staying in at a higher rate, and I just think it's been an extraordinary partnership, certainly with UpliftED and with Seminole State going forward. So those are examples of kind of internal programs. And then also in my area of responsibility is our 211 Information and Referral Center. Hopefully everybody knows about that. It's a 24-hour, 7-day a week, every day of the year place where simply by dialing 211 or texting 898-211 or going to our website and pressing the chat button, you can connect with a specialist who is working from an up-to-date dynamic database of resources in our community. And we'll try to connect you to the resource that's needed to respond to an issue that you have. And then finally, in my area of responsibility is the Orlando United Assistance Center. Heart of Florida United Way has operated that center for almost from the very beginning after the Pulse tragedy. And that center is there to provide support and services to those impacted by the Pulse tragedy.
That's a lot of responsibility, and you're doing such a great job juggling it all. I know that we've known each other now for about 6 years, and just to see how your role has changed and all of that, you do a really great job, and we're so happy to have Heart of Florida United Way and you, Ray, specifically as a partner. So thank you. So you've been a partner since the beginning of UpliftED. Can you tell us how UpliftED started and why you and Heart of Florida United Way continue to partner with us?
Sure. Actually, I can start the story before we started, I guess is how it would go. Although I feel as I've gotten older and my hair has gotten grayer, I keep getting asked questions like, well, how did this start? Or what was it like in the old days? And those kind of things. But no, I'm happy to do that. It really began, Braulio Colon, who many people know and was the leader of FCAN back then, came into the area. And I think he actually went to visit the city of Orlando, and somebody at the city said, you should talk to the United Way. So we had a chance to meet with Braulio, and he told us about FCAN and said that they're having a state summit and invited us to come to the state summit. So Joe Nelson and I drove over to Tampa for the summit, and it was wonderful, but they did something that was really neat. At the end of the summit, they had us sit by kind of our region. So we went to sit at the table or two that was Central Florida, and there were probably 12 or 15 people there representing different organizations. And so we went around the table introducing ourselves to one another, and had that realization that I'm sure others have had when you've gone out of town in order to meet people that that are in your community. Realize that here we were introducing ourselves to each other, all interested in some of the same type of work, but didn't know much about the work that we're doing, and certainly didn't realize ways that maybe we could support one another. So United Way offered to convene us in Central Florida. That sounds fancier than it is, just to bring us together. We literally just collected people's business cards around the table and started to meet. It was before we even had heard of, I think, of what a local college access network was. We didn't know what that was, but we knew it made sense that if nothing else, if we knew about each other's work, that would be a good thing. And if we ever got to the point where we could support one another, that would be a better thing. And Lori Megason then came on as the new president, executive director of FCAN. And we started working with her. And she literally would drive over or call in to all of our early meetings. And we gradually learned about what a local college access network was. We had lots of calls that included representatives from the Michigan College Access Network, kind of helping us. And when their publication came out that helped people kind of look at how you start a local college access network. And then probably before we had a right to, we decided we were a local college access network and called ourselves the Central Florida College Access Network. And, Daisy, we can talk more about it, but that name, the Central Florida College Access Network, was literally true. We were very much only focused on access to college, and really were focused on traditional students, high school graduates, making that transition into college. And of course, we've expanded that view much more going forward. Again, I know that we'll talk more about it. It just made sense to United Way, Heart of Florida United Way, to be part of this group and to play the role that we've played. Again, looking at how you help particularly those that are vulnerable to financial challenges, to be able to move up the ladder and be able to be more financially stable.
For sure. So you mentioned that we've expanded. So really focused in the beginning on access to college specifically. That was for maybe 4 years, really focused in on that. And then we had, and so we started in 2013 officially, and we shifted in 2018. We did a strategic plan, and we really got together some leaders in the community from the school districts, all of the main colleges, universities, some businesses. And we said, okay, we're focused on this Lumina Foundation goal, 60% of Central Floridians to have some sort of a high quality credential, college degree. How do we do that? And so the consensus was we can't focus in on the traditional student anymore as we were, not fully anyhow. We still do work with them and provide resources for them, but we need to focus in on the adult learner, the non-traditional student, someone who might not have a high school diploma. Maybe they need their GED. Maybe they're one of those students who did not have destination graduation to help them to persist. And so they dropped out and they have some college, no degree. How do we get them connected? How do we get them back into college to finish that degree? How do we get them into career technical education so they can get a high quality stackable credential? And so that's what our focus has been since 2018. And with that, we said, okay, our name doesn't make sense anymore. We're not focused just on access. And so we went through that process of rebranding to UpliftED. And so you mentioned that Heart of Florida United Way has played the role that they have since then. And that's the backbone organization, providing some fantastic supports for UpliftED over the years. Now that we're really focused in on getting folks credentialed, whether that means a degree, certificate, getting them to work, building their economic mobility. With that lens on, can you talk about the ALICE populations? I know that's really important for Heart of Florida United Way, why it's important for UpliftED, and how Heart of Florida United Way feels that UpliftED is an important part of making those connections for the ALICE families.
Yeah. And Daisy, just a quick comment as you described that kind of evolution of the Central Florida College Access Network to UpliftED. I'll tell you, that's one of the things I love about this group and working with this group is that it's learned as it's gone along. The reality is that the situation in our community has changed over this time, and the organization has responded to that. And it's learned. As I said, it began very narrowly focused on that access to college for the traditional student, as you described. And as our membership grew and we had members like Robin and Dr. Armbruster and helping us to understand that there are multiple pathways for people to reach their goals. We were able to learn from that. And that led to the organization changing. And that in itself is something important to United Way. It helps us to learn as we're looking to do, the work that we're doing in the community. So yeah, I expect a lot of people have heard of ALICE, but let me just give you a quick overview, because that's really the lens through which we look at the community. ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. And what it reflects is an asset limited. We're talking about households that have, for instance, little or no savings. There's a stat out there, it goes something along the lines of 40 or 50% of Americans don't have the credit or the cash on hand to deal with a $400 problem. So there's not a lot of assets like that. They don't have equity in a house. They don't have much room in their credit limit. So they might be up against their credit limit. So they're asset limited. Income constrained, and Daisy, this is a place we probably want to spend a little bit more time with UpliftED, is that they're having difficulty earning more. And that has something to do with skill level and their value to the workforce and what they can do. And then finally, employed. We're talking about people that are working oftentimes more than one job to make ends meet. And a characteristic of ALICE households are that they may be making more than the federal poverty level, but they're not making really enough to sustain and live in this economy, our local economy. The ALICE study is unique in this way that it specifically looks at what it really costs to live in this place right now. And so what we find is this vulnerable population, nearly half of the population in Central Florida, who are working, like I say, working more than one job, but I used to say, but are one financial disaster away from being vulnerable. The truth is, it doesn't have to be a disaster. It could be the normal things that happen in life, like I say, a car repair, an illness or a child's illness where they have to stay home with the child because the child can't go to childcare, so they can't go to work. And they lose hours and they lose wages with that. That could set them in a situation where they're making choices about whether to fix the car, whether to eat, those kind of things. And that can lead to the threat to their employability, their employment, or the stability of their housing as they go forward. And just to make sure we're being current here, who'd have thought that challenge could be a global pandemic, and losing hours and not being able to work and children having to be at home and those kind of things. So that ALICE population that, like I say, are working but are vulnerable and find themselves, just some challenges away from perhaps having their whole stability of their household, of their family being threatened.
COVID has really turned some lives upside down, for sure. Especially with this ALICE population. So how does United Way see that the importance of UpliftED's work with focusing in on ALICE, and what you mentioned is that income constrained group, that portion of ALICE. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. In 2013, it made sense to help people upskill and get credentials, because even then we were hearing that the workforce was changing, and that the majority of the workforce, in order to be part of that, was going to require some sort of post-secondary credential going forward. So it made sense back then. As we've continued and as we learned about ALICE, the strategy of United Way is first to try to help stabilize that household. But ultimately, what you really want to do is try to help them to be less vulnerable. And a key way of doing that, a key strategy to do that, is to help them become more valuable to the workforce, to be paid more, and to get a credential, to get a degree, whatever is the right thing for them to be more valuable in the workforce. So, as you said, that income constrained part of ALICE is a place that we can make a difference, right? We can help them be less constrained on the income that they can raise. And it just makes a ton of sense to me from two perspectives, really. First, the emphasis that UpliftED has now, not ignoring everything else, but the realization that there are adults in the workforce that need to upskill, that need to increase their value in the workforce. And again, looking at where we are right now, that's never been more true than right now, as I think COVID has accelerated a number of things. It's accelerated people experiencing the loss of hours or the loss of their jobs. I think it's also accelerating the change in our job market. I think there are going to be jobs that existed before COVID that aren't going to exist after COVID. So there's going to be more people that need to change the course of their career as they go forward. So, you know, an organization like UpliftED, I think, is just so important and so key to dealing with not only the longer term dynamics of our local economy and workforce, but the kind of acute and critical issues that are being raised by the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I know in conversations in different committees and such that I sit on, I've been hearing a lot about how there's now, you know, real big focus on those transferable skills. Employers, they're so used to looking at what positions you've had.
Yeah.
Some have done a great job over the years looking at transferable skills, but some, they don't really look at that. They'll say, okay, you worked at a hotel. I don't see how you would do well at a hospital. I'm just making that comparison or what have you. But the transferable skills there, and specifically with hospitality, which is taking a huge hit here in Central Florida, there's been that talk of, okay, so we have the individual who's done great with customer service, right? How do we get them a quick credential in healthcare? Because they have that skill set of really great customer service. Get them a quick, short credential certificate program, so then they can get hired quickly. They have those transferable skills. Why not get them the credential they need so they can get employed quickly? It's all about rapid credentialing, right? And micro credentialing. So how do we do that and help that family, help that individual so that they can have some economic mobility and help them move to the next level?
You know, Daisy, early on when the Central Florida College Access Network, UpliftED, was learning about credentials and the importance of credentials and that whole picture, one of the first things it did was, because the common language was a high quality credential, and the group spent a lot of time trying to understand what that meant, and to give some definition to that early on, so that when we said high quality credential, you know, we knew what it meant. And transferable and recognized, I think, was one of the key components of that. You know, I think UpliftED is doing some really important work in the context of your question. You know, as people are looking to change their careers, to transfer those skills that they have into a new, you know, career path. You mentioned, for instance, you know, in going into health, you know, it's really important for them to have information about, you know, if they're looking to transfer their skills, what sort of credentials should they go after? What's a good industry in Central Florida to do that? Where are the jobs going to be? Where is the opportunity to make more money and to advance going to be? And I know UpliftED has done a lot of work on there, and part of the resources and tools that UpliftED offers to folks in that situation is an opportunity to see, you know, where the jobs are going to be, and then start connecting what's the best pathway for them to get there and to be in that job where not only will they make a little bit more money, but it's a job they can grow in, and that's going to be there, you know, for some time in the future.
For sure. And one of the resources that we recently published is Where Are the Jobs Guide. And it does just that. It focuses in on 6 of the high growth industries here in Central Florida. And it goes down 2 paths, and it stacks them 2 layers. So there's 4 opportunities or 4 opportunities per industry as far as how someone can stack a credential. So someone can become a CNA, and then the next step, they can become an LPN, for instance.
I think that's incredibly important, Daisy. And you know what? It's in our UpliftED's DNA, because I'll tell you, in the early days when we were trying to understand what was keeping, again, we were focused on pretty much traditional students getting to college, but why was that transition not happening? There was a report that came out of the White House that said that the lack of information and working through processes was a barrier in itself. That you know, in that case, students who maybe weren't surrounded by people who had gone into a post-secondary experience, didn't have people to ask and stuff like that. You know, you start filling out those forms and stuff like that, and you say, oh, geez, this is not for me. You know, this is not going to happen. So back then, we understood that when a person can't see a pathway for them to get to where they're trying to get to, they become discouraged, and that becomes a barrier and a reason for them not to continue. I think what you've described is the exact same thing. You know, adults out there, it's not immediately apparent what the pathway is.
Mm-hmm.
They might have an idea of where they want to get to, but you know, questions about, can they qualify for financial aid? Who do they talk to? Where do they reach out to? What should I do? Those sort of things. You know, not having the resources that you're describing, that becomes a barrier in itself. That becomes a reason not to continue. That becomes a reason to become discouraged. And remember, these are folks, these are hardworking folks. These are people with grit. But if you can't see how you get from here to there, that becomes an incredible barrier. And so that tool that you're describing and those resources that UpliftED provides are really key and really important.
They are, and we're building out our website even more to have even more resources. So our adult learner page, soon you'll see even more there, where someone can click and they'll say, you know, I'm an adult, can I get money for school? We don't want to use words like, you know, am I eligible for financial aid and this, that, and the other? No, can I get money to pay for school?
Yeah.
And then they could click on that and see what resources are in the community related to that, which partners can help them to get that money, and they do the FAFSA, all of those things. And we want to make sure that it's easy to understand, and get our website in front of as many organizations that work with individuals who need to get a credential, and just get them the information. That's what it's all about. And we've worked with a lot of our partners on this project, and we have all the content we want, and now it's just getting it onto the website and doing that kind of development work. So we can't wait to unveil that to everybody, to the public, hopefully in the next month or so, if not sooner. So, and if you go to our website, so if you're watching and you're wondering what's our website, go to upliftedcf.org, and you'll go in there, and there's resources all over. We have a financial aid 101. Again, step-by-step how to make it simple for folks. We have what Ray was talking about. We described what a high quality stackable credential is. You can go under career connections and find that one pager. Everything is downloadable, so that you can use it in your own programs. You can use it for yourself, whatever the case may be. We even have a scholarship database. You can go in and search and see what you might be eligible for. If it's not for you, it might be for your child. And one thing we're looking at also in the future is, how do we work with students who are in high school and their parents or their guardians, that intergenerational. Maybe their parent is someone who was, you know, they went to school, they had to drop out for whatever reason, they really want to go back, and how do we make that connection for them? So there's some things on the horizon that we've been thinking about and such. So some of our partners, we have a multi-sector approach, right? So we have people who with education, nonprofit organizations, folks in economic development, philanthropy, businesses, the public sector. And so if you were to, if someone watching this right now is like, you know, I think I might want to be a partner. How do I get connected? Do I want to do this? What would you say to someone making a decision if they'd like to partner with UpliftED?
Well, listen, like I said, one of the things that's great about this group, it's a learning group, right? So you learn a lot by being part of it. You know, the other is, you talked about it being multi-sector, and I think that's really important. You know, I'm an old nonprofit guy, and I saw easily, you know, that by people increasing their credentials and their value in the workforce, that could help them become more stable, financially stable, and less vulnerable to challenges. I really learned being part of UpliftED. We're really talking about a win-win situation, right? The fact of the matter is that our economy, our local companies, our local businesses need a skilled workforce. You know, need people that can do the tasks that they have jobs for. So it not only helps those that we can help become less vulnerable, but it also our local economy will stagnate. The fact of the matter is, particularly in the world today, companies can move around, and they're going to move where there's workforce available for them. So the issue of getting people upskilled, the issue of getting people credentials, the issue of getting people degrees is an economic development question. It's not just a help those that are vulnerable in our community or those that want to make changes. So there's not many places in the community where you have that dynamic of those same things going on at the same time. And so I think that makes UpliftED a little bit unique, huh? And a place where you can really connect into that dynamic in our community and really be connected to those different sectors that I think is going to further your work. And by being present, you'll further the work of UpliftED.
Exactly. We're really looking, and we're always working to expand our network, because when you get new people at the table, you get new ideas and new thoughts and new learnings. And so if you're interested in partnering with UpliftED, please shoot a comment down below. You can message me, even message UpliftED. You can go to our website in the contact. There's many ways to contact us, and we'd love to get you connected. Go on our newsletter, all of that, so you can see all of the great resources and projects we're working on. We'd love to plug you in. Thank you so much, Ray, for taking the time out of your really busy schedule to talk with us. We love the fact that Heart of Florida United Way is our backbone organization. You have supported us over the years, and we are thrilled with the partnership, and we can't wait to see what the future holds.
Daisy, United Way is, but I want to make sure that I say to you, I'm so grateful for your leadership and your vision. You've really taken UpliftED to the next level, and really, really enjoy working with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate those words. They mean a lot to me. Thank you. With that, thank you, and join us on October 28th for our next Food for Thought. We'll be highlighting Valencia College. So join us then. And for now, thanks again, Ray, and everyone have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Bye.